Alright, cool. I think we're going. Looks like we got, am I even in the frame? Looks like we got 2 people watching right now. This was a pumpkin we made, or the shell of the pumpkin we made, like, what, 2 weeks ago, because I missed out on last Monday night. So tonight we're going to do the clay work on this thing. And I had someone in the comments a while back wanted to know how I made the spider on the other one. So if we get through sculpting this quick enough, then we'll do a little spider on here at the same time. And I'll show you how I made that little thing as well. But once again, this is a small pumpkin. It's going to be super easy to do. That's why I chose to do this. I'm still learning this live stuff and everything else, so we'll see how it all turns out. But I've got a fresh batch of clay that I made tonight. And this clay is a little softer than normal. I messed my batch up just a little bit, but it'll still work. It'll work. It'll be nicer when I smooth it out than a stiffer clay. But when we go to make the that spider at the end, it may present a little bit of a problem. I don't know how well of a ball shape it's going to hold up. So anyway, last week we got our base here. Nice little small ball. And the first thing we're going to do is just put clay all over this thing, all the way around. But before I do that, see, I got this nice little turntable, and I've got some wax paper down here somewhere, right there. Oh, you hand me that right there. Thank you. And tonight, joining us, we have my lovely wife. She's going to try to monitor the questions as they come up on both the Facebook Paper Mache group and YouTube. So as you guys got questions, ask, and if I don't see them, she will ask them for you so I can hear it and just respond. The wax paper, the only reason for this is I'm going to completely wrap this ball with clay and then set it down on top of this. When the clay dries, it won't stick to this wax paper, so I can just pull it right off. That way we can do the entire pumpkin in one setting. We don't have to do half of it and then turn around and wait for it to dry and do the bottom half the next day. We can do it all right now. So that's what we're going to do. I've also got a little, it's probably out of frame, got a bowl of water sitting here because that's what I use when I'm smoothing out my clay and keep it from sticking to my hands. Hey, Bree. You hooked me up. Thank you. Alright, and so in the clay recipe that I used tonight, this is standard paper clay. It's not the wood clay or anything else. And this is the same recipe that I have on my channel. If you go look for how to make paper clay, this is the paper clay that's in that video. Made the exact same way. And I'm going to lay this on pretty thick, as you can see, because this ball kind of deformed on me a little bit, and I want it to look pretty even. I had a question in the Paper Mache Halloween group on Facebook, and someone was asking about whether or not they were building their clay, putting too much clay on at a time, you know, whether they should do it in layers. And there's people out there that'll do their clay in layers and only do thin layers at a time and let it dry. I've never done that. Never. I've always just laid this crap on as thick as I need to right from the beginning and just let it go. It takes a little longer to dry, but it works. So when I'm claying, I do it all at once. Pretty much I'll have a finished product right at the end when I'm done. Unless I'm doing a real big project like that wolf I did. And the thing was just so big, it took several days to clay that thing out. So, yeah, lay it on. Don't be afraid of it. I lay it on thick all the time. And I don't know if it's just what I'm looking at, but I don't see anybody even talking amongst themselves. I don't even know who's here. Who's here? I see there's 14 people here. Who's actually sitting here and watching? Let me know. Or just be a YouTube stalker and don't say anything. That's fine too. Bob, what's up? Nice to see you.
Dan.
Dan Dolan, what's up, brother?
Sherry.
Sherry, hey, what's going on?
I prefer the live stream because you don't play a rock music throughout the music.
Ha ha.
Illuminati. And then, what's up, man? Dan said.
What's up, Dan? Well, you know what? In the videos, when I go to those fast cut-ins and all that, it'd be pretty boring just watching that without any music behind it. Hey, Paula. Look like someone else would have missed him.
Kim. Kim and Kenny.
Hey, Kim.
Or Kenny.
Paula, I think it was you. I think you were the one the other night talking about the main thing you were interested in was the clay. Is that right? The sculpting it out in the clay. Am I correct on that? I don't remember for sure.
Gamma? I don't know how to say it. Gamma Tolbert. Hello, enjoying your live stream.
Right on. Thanks for watching. And if I crucify anybody's names, or my wife does at the same time,
I'm sorry.
we both apologize right out. And like I said, this clay is pretty wet. It's not as stiff as usual. I needed a little more toilet paper for this mix, and I didn't have it, and I was just trying to get it all set up for tonight so we'd have something to do. So I'm going to be fighting this just a little bit as we do it. But, man, as we go through this, I may pull some of this out of the bag and let it air dry a little bit.
Paula says the spider.
The spider. All right, Paula, I am going to work. Well, I plan on working on the spider, and that's what I was getting ready to say. This is a little wet, so it's having a hard time holding shape. I'm going to pull some out here in just a minute so it can kind of get some air on it and harden up a little bit, and we'll see about doing that spider tonight as well.
Ross says, hey guys and gals.
Right on. What's up, Ross? Alright, so I got, this is a ball clay I'm going to set to the side. So this will dry a little bit better so we can try to do that spider later on.
Bone Daddy? Oh, it's Randall.
Oh, what's up, Randall?
Attaboy, that's my dog. What's up, y'all?
Alright, so this thing's all completely covered in clay. It's just a big ball of clay. All I'm going to do now, set it right on here and let it flatten itself out. Give me a flat base for the ball to set on. So here's the thing. I'm going to smooth this just a little bit right now. Not like a whole lot, but just a little bit. And everybody, let me clean my hands off. The biggest, like, I'd say the #1 question I always get, and I always hear, or I see it on Facebook and everywhere else is, how do you smooth your clay, or how do you make your paper mache so smooth, and yada yada. I see that question a lot. This is the answer right here. The back of a spoon. See this? This is just a smooth spoon, It has a little bit of a curve on it. This is like my #1 go-to tool. It's just a spoon straight. I robbed it right out of our silverware years ago, and it works the best. Also, with clay, with paper clay, it seems like metal, if you're going to use any kind of sculpting tools, metal sculpting tools with water work better than anything else. If you use plastic, the clay wants to grab the plastic, it kind of pulls. So you want to stick with metal when you're doing this clay. And I'm just going to real quick smooth this out just a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect at all. I mean, that's a good thing about Halloween stuff and Halloween decorations is, man, it doesn't have to be perfect, you know. I like to get something that looks like a pumpkin that you can really relate to, but it can have some odd bumps, it can have some different things to it. It'll still be okay.
Dog had to follow me, sorry.
Is that Chance? What's up, Chance?
Yeah, can't stay away from me.
My dog's down here too. That's my wife's buddy. He can't stay away. Wherever she goes, he's got to be. He's like on her all the time. So if you see some paper, here's some stuff in the background. That's a.
Amy says she can't figure out how to comment on YouTube.
Amy Christinger? So she on Facebook?
Yeah, she just said I can't
Are you watching it on, first, Amy, are you watching it like on a phone? That's #1. If you're watching it on the phone, I'll try to show you this. What?
I'm watching, sorry.
Okay. Let me see if I can bring this up real quick. So let's go to, I don't know if I can pull up my own live stream while I'm doing this, but I'll go to my
Can you pull it up on my phone?
channel. Oh, it's right here. How great is that?
Oh, it's right here.
Let's turn that down. Alright, that way we don't have any reverb. Let's see. Top to chat. Okay. So look at this. On my phone, anyway, if you're doing this on a phone, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get you to see that, but down at the bottom of my phone, there is a little deal down here that says top to chat. And I click that, and it pulls up all the chat that everybody's saying. So it gives you a spot down there. I'll do it right now.
When technology doesn't want to work.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hi from NZ.
So I don't know if that helped you out at all, Amy. Carrie's watching the feed on Facebook too, so you can comment there as well.
Can you see all those comments right now, or do I need to tell you?
I can see them because I'm looking at my phone at the moment. So Ross, I'm gonna click this off. So Ross, if I can make a classic monster for Mache, what would it be? You know what? My favorite classic, and I need to do it again, and I made, it's kind of redundant. I made one, is a werewolf, man. I really dig werewolves. They're awesome. I did one, but it wasn't in a classic style. It was kind of a newer generation. You know, I think Frankenstein would be fun too.
Yeah, she's on the phone and tablet. She said, and Kathy said hi.
Kathy LeBou?
Yep.
What's up, Kathy? Glad to see you here. Yeah, Amy, if you scroll down to the bottom, you may be able to find that where you can chat. Or if anybody else can help Amy out, let her know. You know, I don't know. I don't have to chat on this. All I got to do is play with the clay and show you guys what I'm doing, right? You know, I think, thinking about classic monster, I think Frankenstein would be a fun build. He would be...
Says, hey, Jay.
Pretty neat, Gary.
Gary Faye.
Gary Faye. What's up, Gary?
3 years, buddy.
Right on, bro. Glad to see you. Man, what time? Man, it's got to be early in the morning, huh? For you over there. Or is it like super early in the morning? 3 or 4 o'clock? Alright, that's as smooth as I'm going to worry about right now. There's no reason to go any further on that. Just after 9 a.m. That's not too bad. Is it too early to start drinking? Because I am.
Lindy, would you ever consider rebuilding any of your work?
Yeah, Lindy, I've rebuilt a lot of different things in my work. I've had people see some of it, and I've done some commission jobs and remade some things. The werewolf that I made back in 2013, I think it was, I wound up destroying him, and I'm going to make him again, but I'm going to do it different. He's going to stand up tall instead of being bent over. All right. So here's the thing. Glue sticks. I love these things, and they work really well for these smaller pumpkins. However, I don't know. Yeah, this pumpkin's a little bit bigger, so I'm not going to use this smaller glue stick. I'm going to use this thicker one. Sweet, Gary, crack one open. On all my pumpkins, even my big pumpkins anymore, I don't waste time on the base trying to form a pumpkin shape first with the base, right? Like back in the day, everybody used to do it. I used to do it too. You stuffed the bag and you pulled tape around it, made it real tight, and you made this pumpkin form or pumpkin shape, and then you laid your clay around it, and it works. I mean, you can get a pretty decent pumpkin shape, but I wanted a better pumpkin shape. I wanted more control. It's kind of hard to control that paper inside that bag. So anymore, everything I do is a hard round shell first, and then I make all the ridges with the clay. That's why I say, you know, if you're going to build clay up, build it up. I might make it an inch thick or better all at one time. It'll dry. It won't crack out that bad. You'll get a little bit of cracking. It's not a big deal. The next day, once it cracks, just put some fresh clay in it, smooth it in, it goes away. Don't worry about it. So yeah, you can. Don't be afraid to build clay up. That's all I'm trying to say. Don't be afraid to do that.
Jason Kane says thank you for what you do. You inspired me to get back into sculpting.
Awesome. Cool.
Creative Learner says hello, and Paula says hope you record when you make your werewolf.
If I make one this year, I will definitely record it. I got a lot on my plate. So, but yeah, I try to record most of the stuff that I do unless it gets too close to Halloween and I'm really pushing to get stuff done, and then I just do it and don't record it. So, we've got our clay on here. It's halfway smooth. It's decent enough. We're going to go ahead and make our pumpkin ridges, and I'm going to use a glue stick. This is another great tool that I use. Just put this in water, and your clay won't stick to it, and all I do is stick it in at the bottom, and I press it right into my clay, and I'm going to bring that all the way around, right? See, it makes a decent little ridge right there. Getting it on the bottom side, and just follow that line. Try to, you know, I kind of got off center, but it'll be alright. And I'm just going to work this all the way around to the bottom side.
Paul said I made one in my SFX makeup, but not Mache. Probably not a big difference.
Made what? A pumpkin? An FX makeup? So we got one stripe all the way around. Now I'm going to go to the center. Like I got it divided in half basically all the way around. Now I'm going to come back and divide it in half again using the glue stick. how's the feed tonight, guys? Is it lagging? Is it better than it has been in the past? Because I've really been debating. Like, I went back and watched my last live feed on YouTube, and even when I was watching it, it looked like it was lagging. And I noticed that if I go Facebook Live, there's no lag time. So I might start, like, doing this live on Facebook on Monday nights. And then those of you who strictly follow me on YouTube, once that live stream's done, I'll download it and move it over to YouTube for everybody else to watch.
They're all saying it looks good and it's way better.
Awesome. I don't know what I did different, but I'm glad it's working better tonight.
Amy says I'm not seeing it on my phone. I really just want to know if he's using flour in his clay. I've started having issues with field mice munching on the pumpkins while they're in the woods. I'm thinking of removing the flour from the clay.
All right. So, Amy, I'm not using... I didn't put any flour in this one. I do sometimes, and I don't sometimes. If you don't put flour in it, it really doesn't change the texture any. It doesn't change the way it works. It still works the same. Here's the thing about mice. Man, they eat anything. You know, they'll eat plastic. They'll eat whatever. The best thing that I can say on keeping the mice away, do you just leave them out there the whole, like, forever? Or just, do you have mice eat on them during Halloween time? You know, because here's the thing. There is a spray, it's called Hot Shot or something like that, and it smells like peppermint. It's super strong. Mice don't like that. So, besides, you know, not putting flour in it, because I think if you got mice out there, they're going to attack it whether or not it's got flour in it or not. Because they just chew up everything. Mice are a pain in the rear. I mean, they'll eat anything. But if you spray your stuff down with that peppermint, smell it, it's like Hot Shot. I'll have to look it up and I'll tell you guys. They won't go near it. They hate peppermint smells.
So just during Halloween, the 2 weeks they were in the woods.
Wow, 2 weeks. And you got those things eating at it? Dang. You may try it without flour, see if it helps out. I know you seal your stuff up, just like everything else. Try it without flour, see if it helps, but I still think they're going to go after it. You know?
Gary says he has a pet rabbit, but eating his stuff up. Paper mache attracts rodents big time. And Paula said no, the werewolf.
Oh, because I killed it?
No, the werewolf. She's talking about her making...
Oh, she made FX with a werewolf. Oh, sweet. I'd like to see that.
Jason asked how to find you on Facebook. I think I handled it.
Okay.
Halloween paper mache or jail, so...
Yeah. Halloween paper mache is Carrie put in the comments or Facebook. Oh, I guess I need to tell you guys what I'm doing. I split it in half. I split it in half again. So then... I've got a line here and a line here, and I'm just going to split that in half as well. Same concept right here with the glue stick.
She says she'll give the peppermint a try if she can find it, but she should just be able to find it at a food store or at Walmart even. Yeah,
like food store or Walmart. I think because I had a buddy of mine that showed me that stuff. I think he got it at Academy Sports is where he wound up getting it at. Because mice are just a pain. You know, it's if you got mice and of course you got those field mice out there, I don't know, get a whole bunch of cats. Maybe that'll help.
But then you gotta feed the cats.
But as far as like when I store my stuff, I don't have mice that attack my stuff in the yard. I don't really have mice problems here at the house. And then when I store my stuff, a lot of my stuff goes in big plastic totes for the season, and I store them on top of my garage. You know, a lot of my stuff, too, I just leave in the top of the garage unprotected. I just don't have mice. So, it's not a huge problem for me. I know it's frustrating when something eats on a project you've worked a long time on. But I've had pretty good luck. I haven't had things eat my stuff. I've my witches that I vowed this year that I wouldn't ever use again. I mean, those things have been 6 years or 7 years going, and they still do good. I got a Mad Hatter door greeter guy, and he's been there longer than the witches have been, and I just don't have bad luck with.
She says I put poison in the barn where I store them. No trouble during the off season. And then Lindy said, how do you go about designing the face for the pumpkins?
You're gonna find out tonight. Right here, I'm gonna show you. I don't really go, I mean, I don't know. I just freehand everything. There's a certain smile you'll see on a lot of my pumpkins. I repeat over and over again because it just kind of looks cool. Then I get tired of that same freaking smile, so I try to just come up with something different. But also a good reference if you get online, go Google and Google jack-o'-lanterns or Google Halloween pumpkins, things like that. There'll be thousands of pictures of different faces and different expressions. You can always go there, get inspiration from that to get that.
She'll send it to you later, a picture of it, Paula.
Cool, Paula. Just send it. You can PM me straight on Facebook.
And Gary said if you made it, you can fix it.
That's right.
It's just as good reason to improve an old build.
That's right, Gary. If you made it, you can fix it. Unless you get frustrated like I did and beat the hell out of it with a baseball bat and then throw it in the trash and then you can't rebuild it. But I fixed some things before, but the werewolf just kind of got on my nerves. All right, so we got these ridges in here, and you can see this is a pretty harsh. This wax paper. This is the pain doing this and trying to show you guys with this wax paper. These ridges are pretty harsh. 2 ways you can smooth this out. You can keep your fingers wet, and you can just kind of work these ridges down with your fingers like this, and that'll smooth it out pretty decent. Or you can take a spoon, like I've said before, and just pull that right along the ridge at a bit of an angle and force that clay over. And you can work that clay right over, make it nice and smooth. Come down on the bottom side, dig down in there and bring it out.
I have 2 of your candy holder pumpkins. I leave them out all year round. I love them. That's the I don't know how to say that one. Rekkeddean. And then Lindy says, what happened to your gremlin project?
Gremlin. Oh, the little gremlin I made, the one that I've got a little short clip on, he's still alive.
Oh, it's Dan. Okay, sorry. And he said that at the beginning and I forgot.
Dan, are you talking about the...
Dan's the one that said I have 2 of your candy holder pumpkins.
Oh, right on.
I forgot that's who it was.
So the gremlin, if you're talking about the one that I've got a little video on, he's still around, but he's not even Mache. I made him out of melted down plastic Walmart sacks.
He's looking pretty rough.
And he's lasted, but the paint's popped off of him and stuff because I used acrylic paints. I didn't use plastic paints and whatever. And I treat him rough too. I mean, I throw him around. He's still out there. I kind of hide him. I put him out there in the yard, but he's not. You got to look for him and see him. Or did I have another project that I started on and didn't finish because that happens a lot. I've got
kind of like these plants I got down here, killer plants that you won't ever find.
Yeah, I've got some man-eating plants in a pot down here that my wife wants me to finish that I started years ago, and they're still in raw clay form, or not even clay, they're just strip mache. I've got tons of projects that I need to finish. I just get, I don't know if any of you guys got that problem, but you get so many ideas in your head, and you'll start one project, and you'll get going on it, and then all of a sudden, you'll get this other idea that just sounds so much better and what you're working on, so you kind of just drop what you're doing, move on to the other project. That happens with me a lot, and then I never wind up finishing the first project. I got a little pumpkin guy over here in the next room. It's about 3 foot tall. I got this little viney body all built and everything. All he needs is a head and some finish work, and I thought he was going to be just real great and real cool, and I kind of tossed him to the side and haven't got back at it. I mean, shoot, I even got the one video on how to make a zombie head, and I kept promising that I was going to finish the torso and do this whole thing so you guys could see the paint work on it and everything else, and I haven't finished that. I mean, I got the torso sitting right down here underneath this table.
Jason says we must be related. I have half-done projects everywhere.
Yeah, I think it happens to everybody, right? Trying to do this kind of fast so you guys don't spend a whole lot of time just watching me round these corners out. Spoon's my favorite though. If you want it really smooth, back of the spoon does great. But anymore, I don't smooth it out a whole lot anymore, because I mean I get real OCD with that crap, right? I like want it perfect, and I'll spend, if I don't watch myself, I'll spend hours just on this process right here, trying to smooth all the clay out to be absolutely perfect, and it's really not necessary. I mean, if you wanted it super smooth, you could rough it in right now and wait for it to dry, and then take sandpaper to it, sand it out real smooth.
Side effects of being creative.
Do what?
He said side effects of being creative.
That's right. Big time side effects of being creative. We're just moving on from one to the next.
Try a little spit on your finger to smooth it out, Gary says.
That's what I got this bucket of water for. Oh, and I spilled it everywhere. That's what I got this bucket of water for, Gary. So I don't have to spit on my fingers. And now I got a big water mess.
You know what happened? I like what Big. What did I do?
Just click on the link.
This or just this?
Yeah, either one. Where did my towel go?
Three great news that are going to get candy baskets and picture, just like you said.
The candy baskets are cool. I made a whole bunch of them. I sold quite a few of them too. My daughter still has hers. It's in her room. We had one that set out almost all the time. I've got a couple sitting over here. I like them. And then we've got some of them packed up. We just, anymore, got 3 or 4 of them. We just use them as indoor Halloween decorations.
Paul says my husband is annoyed with how many projects I have started and are just laying around. And Gary says spit is better for some reason. And Lindy says don't cause a great flood there, LOL.
Well, too late for that. I already got water everywhere.
Amy found it. I found the top chat.
Sweet! Amy's on chat now, peoples.
I had to open in YouTube, not the link.
Yeah, there you go. Open it in YouTube. Now Amy can get on here and tell you guys how it's really done. She's made some pretty cool stuff. Gary's made some pretty awesome stuff. A lot of you guys that I recognize from YouTube and then on Facebook, man, you guys make a lot of cool stuff. And I have to apologize. It's you guys that follow me on YouTube, and then when you're on Facebook, a lot of you got different names, and so I have a hard time putting together who's from Facebook or who's from YouTube. But man, I'd like to really, a lot of you guys, if any of you guys, especially any of you that are beginners, if you make something and follow like my tutorials or anything like that, I'd love to see that stuff. You know, if you go over and post it on Halloween paper mache, I can see it there. That'd be great. I always enjoy seeing projects that people have made. And if I've helped them in any way on a tutorial, it's great.
Amy doesn't agree with you. She said, I don't think so.
Amy makes some cool stuff. Some great stuff. She made a killer wolf/dog deal. It was really freaking awesome. Then she made that one spider gremlin. It was freaking awesome.
Amy says we all love to see all your projects for inspiration.
Well, that is...
Oh, Logan's watching on his iPad and can't seem to comment while watching the actual video, so just wanted to say I'm here. Thanks for sharing these videos.
Logan Roush?
Yep.
Sup, Logan? Hey, if you click that link in Facebook, Amy is having the same problem. If you open it up in YouTube, you'll be able to find the chat in YouTube.
Gary says he always uses his name. Alternative names are too confusing. Also, I want my name to be signified in my art. Well said, Gary. Oh, Amy said your werewolf inspired my beast.
Yeah, the beast was cool. I liked it. And Gary, I mean, when I first come across Gary years ago, he's crazy talented too, and he made those, God, man. What would you call those things, Gary? Imps or the woodland dudes? Those things were just freaking crazy awesome too. Those little guys you made, like, they need their own cartoon, right? They are great characters.
Someone figured it out. Ah, that cat, no. She's messing up the thing. Get that. Ow! She's trying to mess with stuff. I can't see.
My wife's monitoring everything on the computer over there, and the cat's attacking everything. Giving her a hard time.
Someone figured it out reading... You read Amy's comment and followed suit. Stop! Damn cat. Oh my gosh, it's all messed up. What happened? She fucked it up. I didn't do it. What the fuck did she do?
Your comments
Excuse my language.
are out. Well, you can boot out of it and then bring it back up again. Just close it over there.
What did she do?
And pull it all back up. Alright, now
guys.
I've got to monitor this at the same time. My cat screwed it up too much over there. She's got to reboot it.
That was crazy.
Alright, this is pretty much smooth enough. And you guys will notice, I don't know if you can see that down there. As I add a little more water to this stuff pulls down on the bottom. You don't have to be real concerned with that stuff. Because after it dries, you can always sand it down. Or if you got like a smaller little tool like this, you can always kind of dig down in there and finish that stuff up. But it's really not a big deal. Some of it I'll dig out. Some of it I won't. Because for the most part, your pumpkins are setting down. They don't see the very bottom. And that's the greatest thing about doing it like this when you're doing it with clay. And if you just clay the whole thing at once, you plop this thing down, and then you've got a solid flat base on bottom, right? So your pumpkin is going to set however you have it. Like if you just do the bags, and you flip that, like you clay the top, and then you flip it over and clay the bottom. Sometimes you're uneven, and it rocks back and forth. And you clay it from the bottom. I always start, even with my big projects, I start at the bottom first, set it down, let it flatten out, and then I bring all the clay around. That gives you a nice flat bottom on your pumpkins, so you know they're going to set just how you want them. All right.
And then they're talking about Gary's illusional eyes. Damn.
Oh yeah, Gary's illusional eyes are awesome. I've got a little piece right here from the man himself. I'm turning the eyes on. See that? Yeah, and those eyeballs, they just watch you as you go down or up.
He says someone copied those eyes on a doll recently. It was posted on my personal page yesterday, I think.
I'm going to copy him, Gary, because I'm going to put him in a big pumpkin. I've been saying I'm going to do that for like 3 years and haven't, but one of these days I'm going to put those eyes in a big pumpkin. I think it'd be cool.
Are you going to carve a face into this one?
Yes, I am. Amy, I'm getting ready to do it right now. We've got it smooth enough for what I'm doing. And I'm going to carve a face in it. And I'm going to... I got water everywhere. Still leaking everywhere. I've got this towel.
Okay.
That's super wet now. Alright. So yeah, I'm going to carve a face. And I'm going to try to do it where you guys can see it. While I try to do it. Which was kind of a pain. Because it's better for me to carve like from here so I can really see what's going on. And I'm going to try to do it at an angle. Show you guys how I do it. So hopefully this face will look okay and not like Igor or something by the time I'm done. But we're going to give it a try anyway. And see if I can't screw this pumpkin all kinds up. Just for you guys. So you can watch it. If it turns out bad, I'm blaming you guys for me not being able to focus on carving it out.
Well, I would say the worse it looks, the better it's going to be because it's supposed to be for Halloween.
That's one way to look at it, but I have a hard time viewing things like that. Alright. Oh my gosh, this is driving me bonkers. We need to tear some of this off because I can't spin it. All the water's made it.
Wendy agrees with me. Even if it turns out an Igor, it should turn out okay.
Right. That's what they say. But everybody knows you're your worst critic, no matter what. So we got the ridges in. They're fairly smooth. I mean, I could work these over a little bit more. Oh, that'd be cool, Gary. I keep saying I'm not going to smooth this out more, and then I just see where things need to be blended a little more.
This way it might be easier carving into clay. I usually try to keep the clay off of the facial features. Amy, Ted.
Yeah, so it's a whole lot easier, right? So if you're just doing something like this, because this is basically standard pumpkin, right, that you've carved into. It's not super expressive in the face, so it's real easy. You put the clay on now, and then we're going to carve out the face, and we're going to dig it all out. It goes a lot quicker. I do it in the same fashion with the bigger pumpkins, but I spend more time because I really build up, so I make expressive eyebrows, and maybe the teeth of the pumpkin stick out a little bit more. But when you're doing like a basic pumpkin like this, where it's just going to represent a standard little old pumpkin that you've carved for Halloween, this is such an easy way to do it. Because by the time we're done tonight, when I'm done tonight, all the clay work's going to be done. This thing will just have to dry up and be ready for paint. So I'm just going to pick the best side of the pumpkin that I think the face will look the best on. And I'm saying right here, these are pretty even, they look pretty decent. So we're going to carve the face right here. And I'm going to try to do this where I can see it and you guys can see it.
Gary says I like the size of the pumpkin. Looks pretty solid too.
Yeah, it'll be real solid, dude. It's small, right? I mean, you might put that outside, but this would be more for, you know, indoor decorations. They're fun to make when you just got an urge to make something and you want to do it quick, because they don't take much time. They're pretty quick and easy to do. Okay, so I don't know, guys. Here's the thing. I went to Hobby Lobby years ago, and look, I don't clean my tools up very well. They're nasty and rusty. That's my fault. But I went to Hobby Lobby and found this sculpting set. Bought it years ago, and I use it all the time. And that's what I'm going to use tonight. But man, you know what? I might have screwed this one up. You see that stuff on there? That's that wood clay. You let that wood clay set up and dry on anything, man, it is a nightmare to get off. Even plastic. I let some dry up in one of my plastic bowls, and I was having a hard time getting that crap back off after it dried up. That stuff's pretty stout.
Okay, so as good as a hanging one, or make a child-sized body for it.
Yeah, that'd be good. Oh, man, this size head, too, would be perfect for, what's that, little trick-or-treat dude? That would work out well, too. I've still got water everywhere. It's driving me insane. Hang on while I dry this stuff up. My arm's getting wet, and I got... Okay, here we go. All right. Let me see if I can get this a little closer and you guys can see this. And so here's the cool thing too, right? When I do my faces and I do them like this where I've already got everything clayed up, if I'm unsure of how I really want the face to be, like I'll lightly, I'll lightly scratch into that. And you can kind of see, if I get a shadow on this, see that? You can kind of see that line in there, right? So if I don't like how the face is going with just that light scratch in there, a little bit of water back over that, and that line disappears, right? So you can kind of draw your face out if you lightly scratch it on here first. And if you don't like it and don't want to commit to it, you can rub it back out and start over again. Especially while your clay's wet. So it's kind of nice. It's like drawing with a pencil in a way. You can put it on there and erase it and do it again. But I'm just going to commit to it tonight. And this is going to be a basic, just a basic face. I'm not even going to put a nose in this one. This is just going to be eyes and a mouth. Kind of like this other one back here. Oh, this is going to be a pain. Okay. So just so you guys know, I'm standing over the top of this, looking at this upside down, so you guys can see, so I can try to carve this face out, so you guys can see what I'm doing. So, here we go. Oh my gosh. This is much harder than I thought it was going to be.
This is great. It's making me want to work on my mask. I need some inspiration, so Gary.
Man, I need inspiration half the time. I was tired when I got home tonight and was like, oh, must do class. And that pushed me through to do it, and so I did.
Monday says, it takes great effort in the realm of artistry. Very true.
Okay, so I just kind of jabbed this in here, and I dug it kind of deep, so I'd have a hard time erasing this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drive this all the way down to my base and kind of cut through this clay and this toilet paper that's in here and loosen it up and then dig this out. This is what I talked about, the difference in that wood clay and this. The wood clay, it's like digging through sand. Once I cut through that, you're all the way down to the base and it scrapes out nice and easy. This is a little bit trickier, but it works. So, here we go. Now I'm taking this all the way down to where I can fill my armature down underneath. I'm going to get that separated. Try to cut the lines in as best as I can.
Your hand's really getting in the way there, Jay.
Oh, thanks, babe.
Sorry, I have to be ornery.
Alright, I got a pretty decent cut here. Now we're going to lift this out.
Paul says you can do it. We have faith in you.
Just like this. Okay. I know that looks a little scary right now, but we're going to clean these edges up a little better. Flip that out of there. So here's the great thing. While this is wet, right, that's not real clean, okay? Oh, let's see if I can do this. Keep this. I know the lighting keeps making it hard to see. We're going to take this tool, put a little more water on it, and I'm going to just move this clay and smash it down. So now even, if you want to pull, like, if you're cut right here at the top, if you didn't think, you wanted your eyebrow to come up a little more or whatever, you can take whatever you're using, and at this point, you can just reach right in and pull the clay up higher. And you can move it around while it's nice and wet. And even change the shapes of your eyes, your mouth, whatever you're doing. You can change it all right now just by moving it around. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing. I was just taking my finger and just kind of blending these edges in here, softening that up a little bit.
Hold your iPad behind you or something?
No, it's alright. Okay. Then I got this little bitty tool right here, and this works great for getting in these corners right down in here. I'll try it with my left hand so you guys can see. I'm right-handed, but we'll see how bad I screw it up. You see, that doesn't look too bad as an eye right there. We're pretty good. Now I'm going to dig this one out, looking at it myself, so it'll be much faster. And then we'll move on to the face. Or, we're working on the face right now. We'll move on to the mouth once I get this cut out of here.
Everybody's so quiet.
I know.
They're like being quiet so you can concentrate.
Everybody left, tired of watching.
I don't know. I don't think so.
And see, here would be something fun too. Like if you wanted a jacked up eye, you don't have to clean that all out. You could leave all this kind of weird crusty stuff up in here. Paint it up later, make it look like it's the pumpkin guts on the inside, like his eyes all jacked up. I mean, you could use all that stuff.
Not true. They're still here.
Alright, let's get this cleaned up.
Was anybody making it along with you?
I don't know. Those of you who are watching, since this was supposed to be like a class thing, are there any of you guys out there that are doing this at the same time? If you are, let me know.
Ross says you should do a big mean pumpkin eating a little one. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I could do that. I enjoy making pumpkins. I make a lot of them. There's other things I want to make as well, but pumpkins are always kind of like my go-to thing, right? Nothing, to me, nothing really says Halloween more than a carved out jack-o'-lantern or a pumpkin. I mean, it really, for me as a child and stuff, and growing up, pumpkins sitting on people's doorsteps and stuff, or, I mean, that was Halloween, you know. I think that's why I'm drawn to them. Plus, they're super, super easy to make. Gesso. No, I haven't. I've always thought about it, but I never have. I haven't bought any gesso to try it, and I know there's great benefits to doing it, but I've never done it. I mean, I don't have any kind of an art background, right? I didn't take any art classes or anything else.
Amy said that not at the same time, but I have 5 ready to start adding clay this week. I need to make 10 to show my Honor some appreciation.
Right on. Yeah, Amy made some cool pumpkins a while back that she mailed out to everybody. They were really neat. And there were some good looking little pumpkins too. Alright, good enough. 2 eyes. Now we're going to do the mouth. And I'm going to do the mouth a little bit different. I'm going to cheat and do it easy. It's not going to be a big, wide, gaping mouth. It's just going to be open a little bit. And what I'm going to do is trace out how I want it to be, just like I did with the eyes. And then I'm just going to follow that line, right? And instead of digging everything out, all I'm going to do is once I get the line and everything separated, I'm going to take this and push down this way, and I'm going to pull up and create the gap that's on the inside. It's a fast, quick, kind of dirty way to make a mouth on a small little pumpkin, and it works out well. But I really got to look at this at first. When I go to spreading it apart, I'll turn it back so you can see it. And I always like these grins. You'll see a lot of my pumpkins, even this wood one back here. I like the grins to start out way up here, man. It's just more menacing, right? When it starts way at the top and then rolls down like that. Something about that look, for me, I really, really like that. So I do it a lot. Maybe I do it more than I should. But I really think it makes a cool look. So we'll see here what we got. And then here too, go back to talking about laying clay on thick. When you build a pumpkin this way and you're carving and scraping the clay out like this, it's much better to have that clay thick, right? Because it really looks like a pumpkin when you're done. I mean, if that thing's paper thin, you don't have any depth or texture to... I mean, look at the... See if I can do this without losing the pumpkin. You can see the depth, right? Look how thick that is. And that really gives that good illusion of a thick-walled pumpkin, a real pumpkin.
I think you should make the Cheshire Cat.
Cheshire Cat.
Yep.
Oh man, I didn't quite get that the same on each side. That's okay, we'll fix it
As
later.
a pumpkin, though. Just
As a pumpkin. Alright, we got our grin going on here. Big round. We only got 3 teeth. It's a little bit easier that way. Now, just like I did with the eyes, right now I'm going to go back through this again and go all the way down to the base and try to get this stuff separated, and then I'll start moving this and creating a gap in the mouth, and actually where it looks like the mouth is open. And I'm not creating the gap yet. I promise I'll show you guys that. I just want to get this cut through. It's the only thing rough with paper clay, because you always have those fibers of that paper still kind of holding in there. So it's hard to do a clean cut. Sometimes I'll use an X-Acto knife when I'm doing this too. And this is kind of my go-to mouth expression when I really haven't taken the time to create something original, because it's quick and easy. So I do it a lot. Alright, we got that. We got that separated a little bit better now. Let's see if I can do this and show you guys at the same time. I'm going to stick this. Man, the light's terrible. Maybe if I change. Okay. I'm going to pull this in here. And I'm just going to start pushing down. Alright. Cut through that a little bit more. Pull that down. I'm really going to start separating this from the top.
Amy wants to know if you've ever used driveway sealer to seal any of yours. She was wondering how messy it was and how easy it was to paint over.
No, I haven't. Carrie and I were in Lowe's a while back, and I was looking at driveway sealer. She was asking me why. And I told her for that exact reason, but I've never done it yet. I've always just used a spar urethane to seal my projects. And that's the one step that I'm not going to show on this. Because what I'll do next week will be, I'll be painting this thing, and I'll go through the paint that I like to do the most, which takes forever. But while this is raw and dried up, I will put spar urethane right on this first. Let that dry and then paint over the top of it. Now, as you can see, just moving this down, you can create your mouth, get some gap in there, and as you do that, it kind of forms a little bit of a protruding bottom lip and upper lip. Sometimes I smooth that in a little bit, sometimes I don't, because it just gives more expression to the face. But it's such an easy way Such an easy way to create a fast face. And here's the thing to remember too, with this clay, like if you wanted this to be super thin, this line to be super thin at the top, you don't want to dig way down in here and pull it away, because as this style paper clay dries, it shrinks. So everything will open a little bit more and the gaps change on you. So if you want to make thin lines, you know, real small, tiny hairline lines, they need to be very, very light, and as they dry, they'll open up, and then you can paint those details in later.
She says that she's been using deck filler from Lowe's to seal before painting. I usually put my... Hey, baby, sorry.
Usually put what?
Spar on the spar.
The spar urethane?
Yeah, it gets pricey. I use that technique on my little pumpkin sculptures I posted last week. So easy to do, Paula said. I'm thinking that this X Rock is maybe Logan.
Yes, X Rock is Logan.
I use driveway sealer, and it's a little messy because it can be watery. I give it a light sanding before painting to knock down the extra gritty bits, and paint takes well to it then.
Sweet.
Go to bed. Yeah.
That's good to know, Logan. I need to give that a try. You know, my biggest fear with driveway sealer, especially like with my witches and things that I've done, when I've really created and spent time for detail in the face, and I put like, you know, crow's feet lines around the eyes and things like that, I was always worried that driveway sealer would fill those details up. So that's the reason I stayed away from it. But when you're doing a pumpkin, even if you don't really have a lot of detail in there, so it really wouldn't be a big deal. But I guess that's my question, Logan. Does it feel... Let me ask you this, since you're on here and you've played with it. If you have small hairline features that you put in, does that driveway sealer fill up those small gaps to where you can't see them anymore? That's always been my biggest fear on the driveway sealers. I didn't want to lose certain details that I put in. Alright, so there's our face. You know, it's not super wide. I mean, if I really wanted this to be a bigger gap, I can push it down even further. You can really get away with it. It works easy. Linda, I saw that. So, the spar urethane, I mean, this isn't the brand I get all the time, but it's an oil. It's an oil base. You got to use mineral spirits or anything else to clean your brushes out. I put that on first, and then I paint it with acrylic paints, and I use that same stuff again. And a lot of times I'll spray it with a sprayer. And a 1 gallon jug for me goes a long way. I can get 15-20 projects out of 1 gallon. And as far as holding up against the weather, it does a great job. It's the only thing I seal my projects with is that stuff. I've got a pumpkin, I've said before, he's been outside since October. He's still out there. He looks as good as he did from day one, except the other day the stem finally broke off of him because that pumpkin was so light. We've had some really high winds, and he's blown off my porch several times, and the stem finally broke. So let's see, that wasn't due to water, it's just due from landing on top, and it finally took so many impacts that it broke. So
hanging by a thread.
Let's make a stem real quick for this. Put on top, and we'll see about doing a spider on it as well. I need to get a hot glue gun.
It says it can if you
Going.
stick into the grit with your brush. For tiny details, I only coat those areas with the watery portion of the sealer, not the sandy, thick bits. That's what Logan said.
Very cool. Thank you, Logan. Hang on, guys. I'm going to get this hot glue gun fired up for the spider. Linda, you can't go to bed. You can't leave if you want to watch the spider. Small little guys like this, I'm just going to use straight clay, stick it down on top, let it dry and harden out. It'll be alright. When I'm doing bigger projects, like this pumpkin back here, I build the stem out of standard mache just like anybody else, glue it to it, and move on.
Dan says, are you going to hollow this jack out for the lights or leave it solid?
Well, heck yeah, I'm going to hollow it out. Yeah, I've left some solid before, but I've just got this major habit of hollowing everything out. So next week we will hollow this out and paint it. So I just took a little ball of clay, rolled it up, and I'm just going to squash it right down on top of the pumpkin. Just do a quick little stem here. What I'm doing right now is trying to get more of a point towards the bottom side of it, and I'm flattening it out on top so it kind of looks like a tooth in a way, and then I'm going to squash that down on there and hope I don't lose that thinness on the bottom.
I like the way that he has lips of sorts from you moving the clay around. That would be something I would enhance.
And we're going to bend that. That's a little too straight for me. I want this. Yeah, I like the lips too. I mean, and you can enhance them more and do more with them. You could even, you could sculpt down in here and really make a raised lip if you wanted to. Just all what you wanted to do. And I've done that before in the past. Alright, so there's our stem. It could have stood straight up, but I don't like them just straight up. I like them at an angle a little bit. And I'm going to very lightly, because this is not... The only thing that's holding it is because it's sticky right now. Once it dries up, it'll be good. But I'm very lightly going to score in. Oh, that ain't going to work. I'm going to score in some lines in here to give it more of that stem vibe.
I'm going to have to go put her to bed real quick.
That's fine.
Be back, Chance. Okay. You look. He's going to step all over your blanket.
I'm going to pick it up when I go to the laundry room.
So all I'm doing to create a little texture in the stem here is just running this tool right up and digging in some little lines. They're kind of hard to see right now, but as this dries out, let's see if we can get a little bit closer. I don't know if you guys can see that texture up there in that stem or not. But all I did was just take that you saw, just rub that in. They're real little right now, but when it dries up, like I said, it shrinks. Those will open up more, give you more of a gap, and then whenever you do paint and dry brush over it, all that detail will pop out. Real nice. And, oh, we're going to run a couple over the top. And then as far as the stem goes, I mean, if you want to get crazy, if you made your stem a little bit thicker and you wanted vines coming off of it or some viney things coming down, it's as easy as just taking your paper clay. And I'm not going to do it to this one, but you're just going to roll out, little worms. Lay it down how you want it, and then scribe in the same detail right into those little worms that you put on, and you'll create little viney textures that are coming off. Now, I would call this done for tonight, but I've had a request on how to make the spider that I made on that other little one. So we're going to do a spider on this one. It's going to be a little bit of a rush job, but we'll make it work. Linda, does my family ever craft with me? Sometimes. My youngest boy, who is now going to be 15 this year, he made a pumpkin once. My oldest boy has never, ever done it. My wife won't do mache. She doesn't like to get her hands nasty, as she puts it. She doesn't like that stuff on there. But she does other crafts and other things, and a lot of times we'll do them at the same time. My daughter's done a little bit of it, but she doesn't have enough patience to stick with it. I mean, all you guys that do any mache know that there's a lot of it that's very, very boring. Okay, I let this clay sitting out. It's hardened up a little bit. Like I said, it's still going to be tough because this clay is a little wetter than what I wanted. But we're going to try to make it work. For the legs on that little spider, I used toothpicks. And that last spider, there was only 3 legs on each side, and I was waiting for everybody to crucify me on that. This spider, we're going to try to do 4 legs on each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the spider's fairly easy. The most difficult part of it is the legs, and it's really not that bad. The hardest part is once you start sticking the legs to it, as you'll see, and not screwing up the spider's body and the pumpkin at the same time.
What did you say about your family crafting with you?
I said that my youngest boy wants me to pumpkin. My oldest boy's never done it. My daughter's tried, but she doesn't have the patience, and my wife won't do it. She doesn't like to get her hands yucky. Any of you guys want to vouch for me on that? I mean, that's pretty much what I said.
I was just curious. I like to draw. I just don't like to touch the crappy stuff.
So we're going to do 2 balls for a spider. One bigger for the backside. Whatever the heck you want to call it. The abdomen or whatever. We're just going to roll a little ball out like this.
Word for word, he says.
So we got ourselves a little ball. And I'm just going to stick it right to the side of the pumpkin, just like that. And we're going to make another ball, a little bit smaller than that one. And we're going to stick that in front of our bigger ball. Just like this. I'm going to try to shape this up a little bit better. It doesn't really matter. The last one turned out pretty good, and I thought it was weird. And that last spider I just made on the fly too. Okay, so we got two little balls there. side by side, kind of smashed into each other a little bit. There we go. Now we're going to do our legs. So, all I did on the legs, I took my toothpick, and man, I didn't measure this stuff out at all. I just kind of looked at it, come down, broke it like that, then broke it like that. Oops. Once again, until we had something like this, right, that I could play with. I'm going to do this to all 8 of these toothpicks. And these are going to be our legs. Ugh, I don't like the way it is. There's really not much to it, guys. I mean, that's the thing. That's the deal with everything, and me even starting this YouTube channel was all about the fact that, I mean, yeah, sometimes it seems a little tough. I mean, really, it's not. And the more you play around with stuff, the more you learn. And anybody can do it. If I can do this stuff, anybody can do this stuff, right? You just got to be willing to give it a try.
Amy says, I love this little touch. I'm going to try adding spiders to mine.
Yeah, they really look cool. I mean, that one I did on that other one turned out pretty neat. I was happy with it. I was just working on that one that night and got it all done, and I had a little more clay, and I thought, man, that'd be kind of neat if I had a little spider on it, so I just went and grabbed some junk and went after it. Alright, our legs are cracked and ready. Now, let's see about getting them in position here. So I'm just going to take, let's see if I can do this where you guys can see it. All I'm going to do is poke this right into our little ball down in, and I'll bend that a little bit more, and I'm going to go ahead and poke that into the clay is nice too because it'll help hold your legs in position while you're doing this. Poke this one in here. We'll set him like this. And bring another one in right next to that one. And I may not have room to do 4 legs. I don't know, we're going to try. I'm about to lose this leg. I broke it a little too harsh. Get in there. And if you just saw that one leg picked up on me, and this is the battle right here. Oh, and it broke. It broke all the way. Well, a little hot glue will fix that. Kind of like duct tape, man. A little duct tape fix anything, so a little hot glue. Let's go for it. Let's see if I can get all of these in here without screwing it up. There we go. This spider is actually going to have the correct amount of legs. Alright, and you guys probably couldn't tell, but man, as you do that, it squishes this ball around and changes it up a little bit on you. If you have a small little tool like this, just get right back up in underneath here and pull all this together. Now I hope, right, that this works as well as that I hope it works as well as the wood clay did, because the wood clay doesn't shrink. And I created some pretty good gaps in this paper clay, and usually that stuff opens up once it's done drying. We'll see how it turns out once it dries. I'll let you guys know.
Mario says, love your channel and creations. Any new ideas for next Halloween?
New ideas for next Halloween. Next Halloween was supposed to be all morbid pumpkin stuff. That's what I was going to go for. A buddy of mine has got a building, and we've been tossing around the idea of doing a haunt, a real haunt. So, and I still want to do the art at the same time, but as everybody knows, time gets limited. So we will see. Oh, I can't get in there to that. The struggle's real. Let's see if we can shape this back up. Okay, so I may kill the whole project of this spider right now. But this leg, I really want it on top of the stem. So I'm going to try to go ahead and bend this more and make it set on top of the stem. I may break this whole thing completely right now.
Amy says, thanks, Jay and Carrie. Gotta go to bed. Good night. Night, Amy.
Good night, Amy. Thanks for watching. Alright, so there we go. Now, hot glue. All the little spiders seem to have little knobs right on each joint. So we're going to use the hot glue to create little joints. And I may have the wrong gun to do this because this is my high temp hot glue gun. We'll see how it pans out. Last time I did it, I used my clay on each little joint. And it worked out pretty decent, but I thought glue would do better, and I may be totally wrong. And it looks like it's going to work for us. Oh, that's way too tall. It's way too tall. I don't know, maybe it'll be okay. Like I said, the last one I did, before I stuck the legs on, when I broke them, I went ahead and wrapped a little bit of Mache clay right around each joint. And in all honesty, that may have been the best route to go. But I thought this would be a better way to do it, and so I figured I'd give it a try tonight. I think it's going to turn out okay, but I do believe I liked the other one better. And now I'm going to see if I can glue this leg together, the one that I broke. So far, that's going to be kind of weird looking. You have more control if you use a little bit of clay around these joints.
Paula says good night.
Who's that?
Paula.
Good night, Paula.
Good night.
Oh! Just from the fight that I did with this hot glue, I would say clay would be the better way to go on that. But I wanted to try it, so I did it. Now we know if I do another one, each one of these little joints, just a small little bit of paper clay wrapped around it. Doesn't have to be pretty, just push it to it and done. That's what I did on the original one, and it turned out pretty good.
Wendy said doing the spider is so cool, thinking about my next pumpkin now.
Sweet. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but the spider's pretty decent. Oh, almost lost him. Almost lost the whole thing right there. And I did. Look at that. Look at that. I smashed this mouth down, but it's okay. We'll fix him real quick. Clay's still wet. We can do whatever we want to with him. Alright, so there we go. That's
loves it.
Sweet. Thanks, Dan. So that's pretty much it. That's the clay part of this thing. Now all I'm going to do is put a fan on this thing and let it dry. It should probably dry out. It'll be pretty dry by tomorrow, and actually by tomorrow night, it'll be dry enough that I'll pull it off of this wax paper because the bottom will still be wet, and I'll lay it on its side and let the fan... Actually, let me recant that. The bottom will still be wet, and tomorrow night I'll pull it off of that. Whoops. And then I've got an old grill rack, right? I'll set that down, set the pumpkin on top of it. It'll be wet, but it'll be dry enough that it won't fall through the cracks in this. I'll set it on top of this, keep the fan on it. That way the air can travel underneath this, and it'll dry the bottom side of the pumpkin out without it warping and changing shape on us. So we'll let this thing dry out. Next Monday we will do the paint work on this thing. And the paint work we're going to do is do painting where we start out with a darker orange and work our way out to a lighter orange into a yellow. And it takes a long time to do that. So the paint may have to be like 2 Mondays in a row because I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to do it all in one night. We'll see. I don't know how many people would actually hang out and watch that all in one night. That's a lot of painting. But next week we'll start painting it. And remember, I'm going to seal it first. Let that dry, and then we'll be painting straight over the sealer when we're actually doing the paint work. So...
Joseph said thanks so much. This was really fun to see. Can't wait for paint next week.
Thank you for watching. That's all I can say, guys, man. I appreciate all of you who are subscribed to the channel and watch the videos and support by watching. That helps me out a lot and gives me incentive to make more videos and do more of this stuff. Anyway, guys, that's it. I'm going to put a fan on him, let him dry, and I'll see the rest of you guys hopefully next Monday night at 8 o'clock my time. See you guys later.